First of all, I would know, this is so basic, but so important. Know your body and know the measurements.
Ugh.
I know. But when you go shopping online or in person, a 6, an 8, a 10 is all over the map. And if you're
All over.
sizes, you are not going to find an outfit. Like, let it go. Really know what fits you and what doesn't, and let go of the sizes, please. It doesn't matter. It only matters if it looks and feels good on you.
Hi, everybody. If I'm laughing already, I guess you're going to know that this is going to be a super fun Fashion Thursday. We have an incredible guest, and I predict she is going to blow up social media and the internet with her presence. Jacqui Getz. Now, how do you get to be an educator all your life, and then when you retire, say, you know what? At 64 years old, I think it's a good idea. I don't know anything about it, but I'll just go into fashion and then make it work. Well, we're going to find out in a moment. I do want to say that this guest is my soul sister. We both were in a profession all our lives, exited it and said, retirement? I don't think so. What can I do that I know nothing about, that has a steep learning curve, that has tons of younger women doing it? Oh, I think I'll get into fashion influencing. And we are also of one mind at this point in the fact that I never wanted to design one-off evening gowns. It just had no interest for me. I wanted to make the every woman, the everyday woman, comfortable and feel good about herself and have a little bit of glamour in her life. And that is Jacqui Getz. Jacqui, my soul sister, welcome to Fashion Thursdays with Diane.
Diane, thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Talk to you. I am so happy we met this way.
Me too. And what we want to know is, because I think there's a lot of women out there who are younger and
Right.
saying to themselves, I don't know, retirement does not look fantastic to me. And now we're all getting, I just got somebody, doctor was telling me, you know, Diane, honestly, you can live, you're a good candidate to live to be 100. So if you retire at 55 or 60,
Yeah.
oh, what are you planning on doing for the next 40 years? Well, hey, let's get into one of the most complicated and most youth-obsessed industries on the planet, fashion. How did you go from being an educator to being a silver-haired fashion influencer? I want to know.
Well,
That's a big step.
first of all, thank you for even calling me an influencer. I'm not quite sure I'm there yet, but
I think you are.
I was in education for 36 years. My mother was an educator. I married an educator. It was obvious. I don't know. I did it. I loved it. And at the end of my career, I started a public middle school just to make sure I had every experience. I was a teacher, consultant, school leader, and then I founded a school. But all along the way, I was always interested in fashion, not in a high-end fancy way, but as an educator. And I really took it seriously to get dressed for the students, for the staff, for the parents. It's fun. It's an audience every day.
Exactly. Oh, good point.
So in 2016, I went to FIT at night and on weekends to get an image consulting certificate, just in case. And then when I retired in 2021, my transitional object was grad school. Why not? And I went to a satellite of a Scottish university that was on Worcester Street. I majored in sustainable fashion. I got my second master's in that, the geopolitical environmental issues in fashion. But my focus was ageism in fashion.
Ageism. And ageism is exactly what my focus was. And I took it very personally when I reached about 50, 55 and suddenly gained all this weight and had a hard time putting makeup on and getting my hair done. It was totally different, but it was my body that was so different. And I went out searching for what had been the one staple in my youth as a fashion piece, a jean that had been with me my whole life. And I hated the fact that I was separated from every memory of my youth and everything great that happened and first dates and falling in love. And it was always in a pair of jeans, and suddenly I couldn't wear one. So you did something I never did, which was get an education in fashion. I never did. I just struck out there and I knew it was my destiny. How did you start to accrue an audience of customers, and how do you approach them? Because I think our audience is interested in fashion, but isn't obsessed with it the way I was and
Right.
am. And they're just wanting to know, what am I going to do with this middle-aged body? I don't like the way I look anymore.
Right. It's interesting because first of all, I would say that my approach is to be real, to really represent myself honestly. I'm not, I dress in a very accessible way. I try to style it in ways that show that it's not rocket science. I'm trying to demystify what it's like to get older, to try to stay in touch with my body, and to use the wardrobe I have. And I don't think that's obvious to women, even though it can be. Everyone
Uh-huh.
has style and everyone can figure it out and they can get some help doing it. But I really hate the idea that women think it's too late, doesn't matter, I don't have style, I can't find the right things. It's very hard to look at skinny models, young skinny models, and imagine that outfit when you have gray hair and you have your body is different. That takes a leap of faith. And I try to help women say, look at what you like and how is it going to look on you?
Yeah, and I do find, and I'm ashamed of it, but it's true, when I closet shop, which is something you really advocate,
Yeah.
I'll come across something and it's like, oh, I didn't even remember
Mm-hmm.
I had that. So now I wrote into an anthology book. So it's going to be my third book published. It's going to start, publishing starts in London. So flying to London, big PR, big photo shoot, big dinners, big meet and greets. And I'm somebody within the anthology, there's 10 authors, wrote to me and said, Diane, I'm middle aged. I had children much later in life. I'm 53 now. She's young, right? And I don't know what to wear. Everything's too big for me. I said, well, first of all, you're lucky. There's a whole trend for oversized. And second of all,
Oh,
who do you want to be?
yeah.
I'm packing to be a successful, experienced, seasoned businesswoman, and B, fashionista. But you've got to figure out who you want to be and then dress towards it. Now, Jacqui, when you go to women's closets and you start to give them direction, do you ask them that question? Who do you want to be? Or do you just sort of keep it subtle and figure it out for yourself?
No. Oh, no. I mean, come on. We're women in a closet. There's going to be a lot revealed.
I
I,
love it.
and I do, there's a lot of leading up to getting into someone's closet. It's very intimate. But what you're saying is so true because it's not just like, it is who do you want to be, but it's taking those messages that you're getting from your friends, your family, society, and really owning it and just and saying at this age, at this time, on this budget, in this with this lifestyle, who am I?
Yeah.
When you said talk about knowing who you are and your style and owning it, I think that's hard for women as
It
we.
it is. When I told this woman, and I meant it in the best possible way, right? Because
Yeah,
you're going to a foreign country.
right,
The book is distributed all over Europe as well, so you are who they see you as. She is a Southern lady and not a tough New Yorker like us, and she was like, "Oh, she didn't like that answer," and I think, okay, I'm just trying to be professional. But
right,
women, I think, get very frustrated as they go into middle age and beyond. And you're frustrated enough with your skin changing, your hair changing, your body changing, your facial structure changing. And I think perhaps the last thing that's on your brain is, who shall I be today? You're just struggling to be yourself.
right. But I think that you have to flip that narrative. And when I work with women, I really try to talk about what are the skills you have that you love? Who are you just in life? What do you do? What are your interests? Who are your friends, your family? If we focus on the changes, it becomes such a negative, scary conversation. And we
Uh,
can't ignore them, but we can talk about, well, what are your assets now that you never expected to have? Like, where are your strengths? What's cool about being old? What do you love about it? Because if you don't approach some of our lives like that, like, then it's too hard. Then it's this horrible uphill battle. And meanwhile, we are here, right? We've
yeah,
got to open. We've got clothes to put on. I
yeah,
think the thing I care about, and you mentioned it earlier, we are worth it. We are worth it to get dressed, to go to the corner on an errand, to get in our car to do something. The schlumpiness that we succumb to, I find impossible to be tolerant of. Like, we have to bring it to the table every time we get up. We have to work at it. We have to try hard.
yeah. And one thing that I would say with trying hard, and I truly agree with you, although I have my days where I'm just happy not to be wearing makeup and have my hair in rollers all day. And I think that the toughest thing to do as you age in a fashion sense
Yeah,
and beauty sense is to keep that golden kernel of you, because everything on the outside is morphing. And I recently saw someone who, we had very parallel careers. I'm not going to name any names, but a big designer. And at the age of 80, 83, still dyeing their hair. And, at a certain point, that just looks unnatural. What
right.
you think is going to be that one piece left of the essence of your youth actually becomes, I think, a very cruel mirror. And
Yes.
so I think that the first thing I would say is society does us no favors in terms of,
Right.
yay, you're older, celebrated. Wow, that's great. It's more like, keep trying to look young. Keep trying to look young.
Yeah.
Someone said to me the other day, well, your hair is big. You're almost back to your old self. And
Oh,
I said, I will never be back to my old self. My old self was dyed red hair. My old self was a decade younger. And that's not what I'm looking to achieve. I want to be the best I can be
yes.
in the moment. And also, I obviously want to be somebody who's a leader and a proponent of pro aging.
Right.
And so all of that works into my image. But that's a tough one, isn't it, Jacqui? Oh, you're almost your old self from 20 years ago. No, 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 no.
Oh, I love being 64. When people say, "How do you feel?" I say, "I feel 64." Like, can't this be the way to feel as 64? I love it. But you said you actually just said the title of your fourth book. When you said a kernel of you, it's like it's not a kernel of youth, it's a kernel of you.
Yes.
And it's such a different way to approach things. I don't want a kernel of youth anymore. I really want to be a kernel of me. Like, where am I and who am I? It's the title of your next book. Yep.
I see exactly what you're saying. And my feeling is that it is very difficult as we age. And I'm about in a couple of weeks to be 79. Yikes. Can I just scream right now? Um, where is the essence of me from my youth and from my middle age? And how am I nurturing that? And what do I need to do to garner
Hmm.
an acceptance and a respect from a city that is so hard, so speedy, makes no room for older women at all? How do I carve out a space for myself? And I ask myself those questions
Right.
because I'm always in front of a camera, unlike other people who are more normal. And the answer comes back again, who do I want to project? If I'm talented enough at fashion to be able to put together an image of what what your 70s going into your 80s are and give women hope, what is that hope? And the hope is you are you must find the essence of you,
Yeah.
and then augment it with fashion in the presence. So do you ever come across a closet and a woman where you just say, you know what, I don't mean to be rude, but I think we need to start over here? Do you ever say that?
I have no. And you know why? Because I think I mentioned this before. It's when you break up with someone and then everyone tells you how horrible that person was. Then you think
Yeah.
the wrong choice all those years. No, because listen, I'm an educator for 36 years. Imagine the bazillions of students I have dealt with and their learning curves, and with adults. I have to believe that within all of us, there's a reason why our closet looks the way it does. And what does it say about ourselves? And can we elevate it? Can we change it? Absolutely. But people have to be left with a sense of they have it, and they need the power to begin changing it themselves. There's some closets, absolutely, they're not me at all. But my job is to find why is it that person, and then help that person articulate it, and then say, and now these are the tweaks I'm going to make. You know, in education, we teach kids to learn without us out. We have to let them go. We have to teach them the skills to learn and let them go. That's how I feel like with clients. I will work with you with your clothes. We will eliminate, do stuff. We'll put together outfits. You name it. You or have to take the power and name what we're doing, and then you have the power to go.
So what is the average age of the woman that comes to you and says, I'm overwhelmed, I'm slightly lost, I hardly recognize myself anymore? Where does the age bracket begin for you in going and trying to reposition women to be their best in the moment? 40, 45?
40s.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I was surprised too.
Yeah.
You know, one thing leads to another, one referral to another, and, you know, up to 70s, somewhere in their late 70s. And, you know, I would love to, if my mother in law lets me, I'll do her closet too. That, it's gigantic. And then you realize, while I really do care what you name the real woman, I really do care. At what point, at some point, everyone wants to say, it would be so nice if I could afford a closet edit and a stylist to come and help me put together my wardrobe. It's not just for, you know, a certain group of women. I want to be that person. I think there are a group of us who really do want to help the real woman, the woman on the street. And it turns out they're in their 40s too,
Yeah.
and way up to their 70s and 80s. We're
Yeah,
all
what I find is, and just from the position I'm in, is I thought that my audience was going to be
right
my
there.
decade, but
Yep.
my audience starts at 35 or 40, and they're
Yeah.
saying, you know, I'm not really looking forward to aging. As a matter of fact, I'm terrified of it.
Uh,
But you look like you're doing okay, Diane. So how do we do that? So
mm-hmm.
here you are leaving education to become a fashion advisor. And you're right back into education again, because what you're trying to do is to educate
Yeah.
women to be in the moment.
Hmm.
And, I also find that, and I'm around quite a few women like this who are in my age bracket that are not living in this decade for sure.
I know.
Their
Yeah.
wardrobes are from 30 years ago, and a lot of these women are in their 80s, and I understand they don't want to invest in new clothing, but you can't fake it. There is just some stuff that is so out of style, and yet I know they're reliving the salad days and what they remember as some of the best days of their lives. But I think if you want to successfully age, you have to appear to the world as someone who's in the flow. And is that some of your advice also?
Well, trends can be very intimidating, and you can't go into a trend if you don't know what your own style is. So, what you're talking about, one is if you have your clothes from 30 years ago, yay for sustainability, bravo.
Yeah.
But probably a lot of that, if you spread out that wardrobe, you can insert some things that are a bit more contemporary, not necessarily trendy, because if you chase a trend, that could be difficult. But yes, I think that it's like infiltrating a wardrobe, with a few items that can kind of help everyone feel a little bit more in control, a little more powerful. That's what we all want. We want to feel in control and powerful. And I always talk to my clients,
True.
look intentional. Look like you put
Ha.
the outfit together intentionally. Don't just
Yes.
think on
Yeah.
the top and the bottom.
That
Like
is so
what
true. And keep your own. You've got to somehow, and this, I think it's the toughest thing to do as you age, keep your own personal power pulsating,
right.
very apparent. So that means for me, I always wear, and the one thing that lasts forever is a really well tailored blazer. Now, I designed a million of them that were at very affordable prices, but I also kept a million of them that I bought. And they're as good today. I think I'm wearing a blazer today that's about 15 years old. And every time I wear it, someone says, "Oh, where did you get that? I love it. It's so contemporary." So I think the necklace is a contemporary part of it and sets it off. So how do you go through a woman's jewelry drawers
Yeah.
and accessories as well? Because I think you can take a basic, like a work blazer, put it with a perfect fitting jean, a simple layering piece like a tee, and then go in for the accessories and make the
Yeah.
statement.
Absolutely. I want to work with women, and when I'm working with them, it's like take a few more risks. Don't go for the invisible. Stay in the light a little bit more. Nobody is going to criticize you, and no, don't listen to it. Like unleash yourself a little bit. Put a few things together, and women want to do that. I really do believe it.
You said something that I think is so crucial, which is be visible. I know that when I transitioned in my 50s to a middle aged woman, all I could find beyond what I was designing for TV was hide me clothing. Don't look at me clothing. I'm
Right?
not worthy anymore clothing. I
Yeah.
don't like my body clothing. I
Yeah.
don't like my face clothing. And once I realized that, I understood, number one, that my audience was a sisterhood. And if I, living in Manhattan, being a fashion designer all my life, was confused and not understanding how to project myself, my God, there would be millions of women out there that way. And that's why I think my middle aged gene, the DG2 gene, was so successful, because it was a simple, very iconic, all American garment they had worn through their entire youth,
Yeah.
and they could relate to it. It was like a snuggle baby blanket. It was familiar. It was non-challenging except for the fit. And I took care of that and dedicated it to a middle-aged body. And that was all they wrote. And then it was $100 million a year company. But
And that also gives women the ability to flex their styling muscles. Like they get the gene back. Oh, then they remember. Like those are innate muscles in us. We know how to style jeans. Like give them back to me and I'm there. And what a gift, right? What a gift you gave women to say, I get to wear these and style them I know how to do this. This is terrain I get. This is fashion. I understand.
And it's also a perfect marriage of walking into your closet and taking all those corporate blazers and suddenly making them cool girl by putting them with a perfect fitting jean, which to me, I think from working in Europe through my youth and middle age,
right.
That was in France, that was the male version of the perfect uniform. A great jean,
right,
simple layering piece, tailored blazer, scarf around the neck, and you're swooning and you're thinking, oh my God. So for me, that was my intention, and that's how I still dress today, and it still looks European contemporary. And it was a solution for connecting my youth and my middle age to my latter years and still being able to express myself as the same person and do it appropriately.
Beautiful. I love it.
Difficult.
As a principal, I wore jeans almost every day.
Whoa, you did? You were allowed to? That's great.
First of all, don't ask permission, correct?
Yeah, just say you're sorry afterwards. Got it.
No way. Yeah, with heels and, what blouses and oversized jackets and everything, lots of jewelry. How to make sure the kids heard me coming. Yeah, definitely. We have to be who we are. Otherwise, we're not going to perform our best. It's just not going to happen.
That is so true. And I think it sounds like an old line from a Billy Crystal movie. How you look is how you feel.
Yeah.
If you look good, you feel good. And we are such a visual world. It just blows me away. The one thing that was honestly such a kicker to me, but really sort of trained us to move forward was COVID. And, I was doing TV shows where I have to admit, I was wearing a pair of pajama bottoms and then whatever top I was selling, who knew? Somebody did, and I'm not mentioning names again, somebody very glamorous did a podcast with me the other day. And she said, oh, hold on a second. Before the podcast began, I have to get something. And she had on like shorts. And then this really beautiful, totally feminine designer ruffled kind of evening top. And it was hilarious. So COVID taught us bad habits that you could be sloppy every day.
I have to say that when we were leading our schools from home during COVID, and my husband's a principal, I made him dress every day and I dressed every day. It's the mindset. It's like I'm a principal and I'm home, but from my heels to the top to my jewelry, the whole thing, whether you see it or not, it will affect my mood and my behavior. But I'm, granted, a little crazy when it comes to that. But I was like,
no, but I think you're absolutely right. I think that how you look is how you feel, is how you perform, is you're expressing something internal and bringing it forward. So as we draw to a close, and I could talk to you forever.
We will. We'll have lunch.
Yeah, we'll have lunch. Girls at lunch. I love that. I want you to give a couple of your best pieces of advice to an audience who, and it's only natural, as we shift and transition to our next phase in life, and that might be middle age, or that might be what I hate to call it old age, so I'm going to call it our third act, our finale.
Yep.
What are your best pieces of advice for women who don't want to invest a lot of money in
Right.
clothing like you and I,
Right.
and who see themselves as no longer the same and are totally confused and kind of like a balloon that lost its tether? And what can you say, Jacqui?
First of all, I would know this is so basic but so important. Know your body and know the measurements.
Ugh.
I know. But when you go shopping online or in person, a 6, an 8, a 10 is all over the map. And if your
All over.
sizes, you are not going to find an outfit. Like, let it go. Really know what fits you and what doesn't, and let go of the sizes, please. Crucial. Don't get tied into that power play. It doesn't matter. It only matters if it looks and feels good on you. That's number one. That's a big deal to make.
So important. And I had to do that. So
Yeah.
I really lived it.
And then you're fine. Then it's like, oh, the world didn't end. My hips are this. Great. But now I know how to dress myself. So that's number one. Know yourself and your body and look at it and measure it. Even if it's painful, it'll get better. And secondly, I feel like everyone talks about a capsule wardrobe. I think we would develop our own, but I do think that when you figure out your foundational pieces, for me, it's white t-shirts and jeans.
Yay. That's me.
Yeah.
White t-shirt, perfect jean, and
Yeah.
then everything else puts together a mood, whether it's
Right.
casual, whether it's semi-tailored, whether it's ladies who lunch.
That's
Yes,
the light.
yes, yes.
Right. And then the third thing is, I really think I don't, you do it. Make a Pinterest board of looks you love, because and then you step back and look at it and say, oh, this is who I am, want to be, am intrigued by, and do that. And then begin to put your own pieces together that way. Like when you learn how to write, you read good writers. So why would any of us think we should get dressed in a vacuum? And also, if you have a good friend, have the help. Like, reach out and have your clothing buddies on Pinterest in your life. This is fun to do. It is fun to dress up. It is fun to go out. It is fun to just eat a cup of coffee. It is worth it. Find your team and your people and make it all work. And make a Pinterest board and say, this is who I am, and I will make it happen.
And when you talk about your people, I have two friends who will say to me, you look ridiculous, or that I don't get oversized, and you've lost weight, Diane, take that off immediately. You're swimming in it. Or I
Bravo.
don't like your makeup. I don't like
Right.
the colors. You know, find people that can be honest to you and are confident they're not going to hurt your feelings. They're doing this for your own good. I know that when I was coming out of chemotherapy and breast cancer, and my hair started growing again, it grew back curly, which I never related to. And so I was kind of keeping it short and curly. And finally, one of my friends said, this is not cutting it. You have got to go back to the style it basically is now, much longer, sexier, much more of a statement. And honestly, Jacqui, I wasn't sure I wanted to put in that effort or garner the attention it was going to get, but I did it, and I never looked back once I did it was almost like a whole new life. Oh, so I can still be me. Yes. At 79. Oh, wow. I love that. So, next thing we're going to do is, after we're done with this podcast, is figure out where we're going for lunch. So, because we're definitely getting together, girls. So, this is Jacqui Getz. We will list how you can get in touch with her. Let her remake your wardrobe and kind of refurbish your whole feeling about you and your image of you. You know what? It's so important for females to keep that going. And I have to say, for everything I'm grateful for in my life, I am so grateful that I kind of still have that under control. And many times as much as I love to talk, I let it speak. I let my image speak for me. And it says a million things about me. You, Jacqui, are a treasure. And if you ever saw my closets, you would just melt down, honestly. Oh my God. There's,
A few sessions.
yeah, like about a decade's worth of sessions. And I'm admitting they start out with good intentions, everything's hung up. Then it's like, oh my God, what am I wearing today for my podcast? And now everything is like a wreck. It's like a big pile of stuff. So I definitely need your help. And I am in my very own way. And every woman like you, like my customer, like your customer, and I celebrate us. The real women are the women that make the earth revolve.
Yeah.
So, audience, I hope you love this woman as much as I do. She is a real deal. Jacqui Getz, thank you so much for being here. You are fabulous.
Thank you. You're the best.
Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.